I am Mark Donovan, Director of Commercial Applications for Audio-Technica, and I want to talk a little bit more about some of the tools that are available to you in Wireless Manager. I actually did a previous video where I did the timed walk test, and I did that using System 20 Pro, which actually you can do the timed walk test for ES Wireless, and you can even do it for our traditional UHF wireless. So this is a very powerful tool and very good reason why you should use the software. Now what I want to talk about in this segment is the scan function. Now we're all familiar with a typical UHF wireless, such as our 3000 series, where you have the scan function on the receiver, where you can press scan and it's going to look and see what's out there, what kind of open spectrum there is. Now the software takes it a little bit of a step further. You can actually use the 3000 series as a spectrum analyzer, the network version, and you can actually really see what's going on out there. But there's also scan functions for our other systems as well. So for System 20 Pro and for DECT Wireless, the ES Wireless. So a little bit of quick overview, of course, is our System 20 Pro is operating in the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum, and our ESW is operating in the 1.9 gigahertz spectrum, that DECT spectrum. So they're two very different spectrums, but that doesn't mean that they're completely free and clear, and you may need to take a look at things prior to. And all you really need is a receiver to do that. I'm going to show you how to do it for both of them. So first, in this project that I have selected here, which is a Wireless Manager project, you'll notice that I've got, an engineered sound wireless receiver here, as well as a System 20 Pro receiver. So I'm going to go up to the tools, and you'll see where it says start with DECT RF Scan. We'll start with the ES Wireless. So you select DECT RF Scan, and then you're going to be faced with a window that looks like this. You're going to select your receiver, which in this case I only have one here on the network, so it's not that hard. You could, if you've got more than one, you could press this little target here, which will actually start a little flashing identification light on the receiver so you know which one you're on. So you select that, and now we have it selected and we're ready to start. So I go ahead and I hit start. Now you'll notice I have two windows. I've got a real time and a peak hold. And what this is telling me is it's constantly looking at it in real time to see what's going on in that DECT scan, in that DECT space. And the peak hold is it's going to hold all that information. In other words, if you get a ding in there, the peak hold's going to call it a problem frequency the whole time. Now you can see it's pretty clean in here. It's actually showing very large portion of green. You've got the green, which is free, yellow is used, and red is busy. And that's typically telling you whether there is some other wireless transmission out there that is using it or is completely occupying a section of spectrum. But with this, it really makes it easy because it tells you just how many channels you can get to work. So in the real-time view, you can see here, it's got 47 to 51 channels. It's varying, of course. And then the peak hold, it's got 45 to 60 channels, and then even more in the high density mode. So this scan is a successful scan telling us there's plenty of space to operate here. There's no problems, there's no interference, there's no external problems. So that's a real quick, easy way. And of course, you could sit here and just let this run if you wished. So if you're going on a job site and you need to check it ahead of time before you go ahead and commit to use an engineered sound wireless, all you need actually is just one of these receivers, and you can plug that in, get to it through Wireless Manager, and then just run the scan for as long as you need to. So that's one. That is the DECT wireless scan. It's pretty simple. I got to stop the scan first. And so now let's look at, I didn't hit stop. There. So you got to hit stop first. I didn't hit stop, obviously. It told me that a bunch of times. So there, anyway, so we stopped the scan. I'm going to go back to the tools again, and I'm going to go to the 2.4 gig one. So it's very similar. When you call it up, you're going to see a different graph, a different window. You still have to select your receiver, and again, you've got that target there that you can hit that'll ID the receiver to make sure you've got the right one. And then you select that and you hit start. Now this takes a little bit more time. It's not as fast of a scanner, so it's going to take the accumulated data. You can see it going back and forth here. It's just kind of, there we go. So now that's popped up and it's starting to populate just what is going on in there. And you can see that this is a pretty mild space here. So I do have one wireless access point active in here. Well, active is kind of a loose word term. I have one wireless access point in here that I actually don't have anything connected to right now, and the rest of them are all fairly distant. So it would not be unusual to see that I've got fairly low levels of some of these other channels. So I can see, like over here on the right, that's clearly the sign of a Wi-Fi channel that's being used somewhere in the building, but it's not very close. And because the name of the game here is signal to noise, it's not high enough to worry about. Now, the higher these levels go and you start getting into the yellow or in the red, then that's going to start saying, okay, well, maybe we do have a little bit of a high of a level there. But you also have to remember too that this spectrum that you're looking at here, all of these spots, these are all the different frequencies that System 20 Pro can possibly operate in. Now, how many frequencies does System 20 Pro require to operate? Well, if you're using 20 channels, you only need 10 frequencies. Out of all those green bars there, I only need 10 of them to be free and clear in order to get a full 20 channel capacity. So this can get you a little bit of a better picture of what's going on so that you can understand if the system is going to operate correctly. Also, another thing too is that you may find that my receiver's a little bit too close to a wireless access point, and moving it away might clear this up just a little bit. So that's really going to help you there, those two tools, of course, along with the time walk test that we talked about earlier, to help you get a much more successful installation out of your System 20 Pro or out of your engineered sound wireless. Thanks.